Good morning. I'm Natalie McKnight. I'm the Dean of the College of General Studies, and we're going to get started with this webinar in about 1 minute. So you have time to grab some coffee, tea, or beverage of choice, and then we'll begin. Thank you. Hi again, I'm Natalie McKnight. I'm the Dean of the College of General Studies, and welcome to our College of General Studies Open House webinar. I want to begin by congratulating you on your acceptance to Boston University. It's never been more competitive to get into BU than it was this year, so you should feel particularly proud and be patting yourself on the back. You're going to hear a lot of congratulations this morning, but I say there's never too many of them. So again, congratulations from me and from all of us. So our purpose today is to give you a good sense of the attributes of the College of General Studies, what makes it distinct and impactful, and how it fits into a 4-year degree program at Boston University. We also want to answer any questions you might have, and we're hoping we can take some of the stress out of the situation. I've been through this process many times as an administrator and as a professor and also as a parent, and I do understand how stressful it is, but I want to assure you that actually you've done the hard part. You've gotten through the most stressful part. You did all that work so that you could get accepted into a really competitive university, and you've probably been accepted into multiple ones. And so now this is the easy part. You're just shopping, and I hope we can help you with that shopping experience. So I'm going to give us a brief presentation, and at the end, we're going to take your questions. If you haven't done a Zoom webinar before, if you just hover your cursor around the bottom of your screen, see your taskbar. In your taskbar, there is a Q&A section. Just click on that, and that's where you type in your questions, and we will address them. I've got a panel of wonderful students and administrators, advisors, faculty, etc., on with me today, and we will share the pleasure of answering your questions. All right, let me start out with the big picture of BU. Boston University is a large university, the 4th largest private in the US. We have about 34,000 students total, which makes us like a small town or small city within a larger city, about 16,000 undergraduates, 16 schools and colleges, and over 300,000 living alumni. And I like to pause on that fact for a second, because I think it's a really important thing to consider when you are shopping around for colleges and universities. Does the university have a great alumni network? Because that is a tremendous resource for networking to draw from when you're looking for internships, jobs, etc. And BU alumni tend to be fiercely loyal. They love to offer shadowing and mentoring opportunities. They love to hire fellow terriers. So we're really proud of our alumni network. We're also a research university, which means our faculty are staying on top of the knowledge in their disciplines, in every discipline you can imagine, but they're also contributing to what is known in their fields through their own research, and in many cases involving undergraduates with them in that research. So it's a really exciting, vibrant community to be part of. And our faculty are Nobel, Pulitzer, and National Book Award winners, Guggenheim and Fulbright scholars, etc. A great array of award-winning faculty who are teaching our students. We're also internationally renowned. We're ranked number 7 among top US colleges for international students, ranked number 27 for most innovative schools. And that's important to pause on as well, because everyone now is looking for innovation, experience in innovation, innovative programming when they hire. And we are internationally known for our innovative programs, research, etc. And we're ranked number 14 for most employable graduates, maybe one of the most important facts, because everybody wants to know when they graduate in 4 years that they will be hireable. And again, BU Terriers are wanted by employers all over the planet. Again, we're very competitive. We had over 75,000 applications for an incoming class of 3,200 this year. So again, pat yourself on your backs. And as for the College of General Studies, we are one of the oldest and most respected general education programs in the nation. One of the things we like to say about ourselves is we're like a small private liberal arts college within a large Research One university. So you really get the best of both worlds, that close, tight-knit community of a small private liberal arts college, which we really have, and I'll demonstrate that to you in multiple ways this morning. But then you also have all of those resources of a large Research One university in a fantastic city. So it really is the best of both worlds. So in trying to figure out how best to convey what makes the College of General Studies, or CGS, distinct and impactful, I decided to come up with a top 5 list of characteristics that make us distinct. If you're interested in hearing more, on the admitted student page, there's a video of me doing a top 10 list. I could do a top 20 list, but let's keep it to 5 and 10 for the moment. And for this morning, we're just going to do the top 5 so that we have enough time for your questions. So number 5, in my top 5 reasons why College of General Studies may be the right choice for you, we offer a gap semester to our freshmen. So our freshmen have a gap semester in the fall of their first year, and they start with us in January. That fall gap semester is a wonderful opportunity for doing internships, travel, jobs, maybe taking some courses towards your major. Some of our students do all of the above. We have some pictures here of some of the things our students have done in the gap semester in terms of travel and internships and jobs. But you can also check out their stories on our website, because we have a great array of experiences that we've recorded that students have done over the last few years in terms of the gap. And it seems no matter what they've done, it's helped kind of rejuvenate them, so that when they start here in January, they are refreshed, they're raring to go, they're excited about starting college, and they've already kind of built some cool experiences into their resume. I think that the gap is really important for students because, as you well know, that junior and senior year of high school is really exhausting. Many students who start college in September start already kind of burned out and kind of blasé about going into college, because here it is September, and yes, we're going back to school again, just like we did in the prior 13 years, K through 12. Well, you don't want to be blasé about your college education. You also don't want to be starting your college education burned out. So this gap semester really does provide a wonderful break to kind of replenish and do these cool things, build out your resume, and then jump right in. And our students do. When they come here in January, they come in, they join clubs and activities, they take over leadership roles, and they tend to do excellently in their academics as well. Educational theorists internationally have long recommended gap semesters or gap years, and it's been pretty typical in Europe. It's catching on in the US. I'm very proud that we have a gap semester built in to our program. So number 4 in my top 5 list is our team system. We're nationally known for this system that we've been employing for about 6 decades. So we bring students in and we put them on teams of about 80 or 90 students who share the same faculty in their first 2 semesters with us. And then they are on a different team and share the same faculty for the 2 semesters in their second year with us. And because students are on a team together and sharing classes, they really get to know one another well. They form friendships, they form study groups. It's just very socially cohesive, so that they have a sense of belonging right from the start, which is so key to success in college. But it's not just socially cohesive. This team system that we use is also intellectually cohesive. So because a team of faculty share the same students for 2 semesters, that team of faculty with a professional advisor who's assigned to the team, they meet once a week to talk about the students and who's doing well, who might need an extra challenge. And they also talk about what's happening in their courses so that they can make connections among the topics that they are discussing. And that really just does not happen anywhere else in the nation, where your faculty in your general education courses would know what you're taking in your other courses. And that provides wonderful opportunities to be making these interdisciplinary connections, which really are at the heart of learning and carrying away some knowledge with you. So as you all probably have experienced, a lot of learning happens like this. You know, you study for an exam, take the exam, you do well, yay. 2 weeks later, if you had the same exam, you could fail it because you've dumped. It's learn, exam, dump. And K through 12 is replete with that kind of experience. When you study in an interdisciplinary setting like this, and what you're studying in social science is reinforced by what you're studying in humanities, is reinforced by what you're studying in rhetoric, it enables your brain to have a structure to hold on to store, and then to retrieve the information later on, which means you carry away knowledge with you. And at the same time, you're learning how to think in an interdisciplinary fashion. And thinking in an interdisciplinary fashion is key to being a good critical thinker. And that's something all employers are looking for. Good critical thinking skills. Interdisciplinary thinking is at the heart of good critical thinking skills, because our students learn no matter what topic you're learning, no matter what problem you're solving. One of the keys to understanding it best is to pull from different disciplines and different perspectives as you're coming up with an understanding or a solution, etc. This team system also enables our students to get great letters of recommendation, because the students get to know the faculty well, the faculty get to know the students well. So our students, even in their senior year, even though they haven't taken classes with us since their second year with us, often come back to our faculty for letters of recommendation, because our faculty know them very well. And the team system also enables our students to do a group-written problem-solving capstone project in the spring semester of their second year with us. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about that in the Q&A session. Number 3 on my top 5 list is experiential learning within and beyond classes. So we know that many learning theorists, again, internationally, have shown that unless there's some kind of physical experience tied to the abstract knowledge that you discuss in classes and lectures, then the learning doesn't really gel. It's another reason why we forget so much of what we've studied. But in our program, we have physical experiences that are tied to what we're learning in the classrooms. So that could be visiting an art museum, visiting a historic site, doing one-on-one research with the faculty member. So in both years, we have these experiences built into the program as part of the curriculum. And in some cases, as in addition to the curriculum, if you have a paid undergraduate research project to work with one of our faculty, and we do lots of those. But in all cases, these physical experiences really do help to help the students to hold on to and retrieve what they've learned. So number 2 on my top 5 list is you get an opportunity to study abroad in your first year of college. So about 95% of our students choose to go to London in their second semester. This is a summer semester in our program. So they do January to May here in the Boston campus, and then they do a 6-week summer semester in the London campus, and finish the credits that they need for their freshman year so that they're ready to start their sophomore year in September, right in sync with everybody else. Some of our students are already studying abroad by being in Boston because they're international students, so they may choose not to go to London, but to stay here in Boston and explore New England instead of England. Either way, both opportunities are really rich interdisciplinary and experiential programs with class time, yes, but lots of field experiences in museums and historic sites, plays, concerts, etc. One of the things I like to point out is that because our freshmen study abroad in their freshman year, they have 3 years left where they can fit in another or maybe even a third study abroad experience. So we do have many students who've done a second or even third study abroad experience in their 4 years at Boston University. And that brings me to the top reason why the College of General Studies may be right for you. And that's because we have a stimulating interdisciplinary curriculum that does many things, including it encourages faculty and students to make connections among their courses and to think in an interdisciplinary fashion, as I was just describing when I talked about our team system. So again, because students are studying with the same faculty for both semesters in their first year and a different team in their second year, faculty are making those interdisciplinary connections. For instance, if in social science they were talking about World War I, if I was the humanities professor assigned to that team, I would talk about World War I poets and World War I artists and films. And the rhetoric professor might talk about World War I propaganda posters and how the posters try to persuade people to sign up to enlist in a war that was decimating an entire population. So again, those interdisciplinary connections are kind of at the heart of learning well and taking away something from the learning, and at the heart of learning how to think critically. So our curriculum also addresses the question, what should an educated adult know and be able to do? And I don't think higher education institutions do this often enough. Nobody wants to go into the world after graduating with these embarrassing gaps of knowledge. There are things that people will expect you to know as an educated adult with a 4-year degree from a competitive university, and you want to know that you know them, right? And so our curriculum really is designed to be as comprehensive as possible for a general education program. And in addition to that, our curriculum also fulfills most of BU's general education hub requirements. So as you probably know, all students at Boston University have the same general education hub requirements, whether they start in Questrom School of Business, College of Arts and Sciences, College of Communications, etc. And our program tends to be a very efficient and effective means of taking care of those BU hub general education requirements. Now, there's a lot going on in this page. I'm just going to have you focus on, this is year 1 at the College of General Studies, semester 1, social science course, humanities course, and rhetoric course with us, plus an elective towards your major in another college. But you'll see here in the descriptions of our courses, and all of this is on our website, by the way, that each of these required courses with us counts for 3 hub areas. The maximum number of hub areas that an individual course can count for, which means, and that's in both semesters of the freshman year and both semesters of year 2, same thing. And in year 2, it's social sciences, humanities, natural sciences, plus at least 1 elective each semester. And by the way, we allow students to drop 1 of our humanities and 1 of our social science courses. So many of our students, most of our students, have at least 5 or 6 electives towards their major by the time they finish with us, plus they've completed a ton of their hub requirements. So our students, when they move into their 3rd year at Boston University, and now they're focusing almost exclusively on their major, have completed more hub requirements than pretty much any student who has started elsewhere at BU. Plus they have 5 or 6 courses done towards their major. So they're well on their way for graduating in 4 years, which is, of course, what we all want. Again, these slides are on our website if you want to look at them in more detail, and hopefully in a Q&A session we can go into more detail about the curriculum. But I also want to point out that students are naturally concerned, if you start in the College of General Studies, can you complete a major in Questrom School of Business in 4 years? The answer is yes. Or can you complete a pre-med major in College of Arts and Sciences or elsewhere? Here would be biology. And the answer is yes. And we have mapped out the pathways from the College of General Studies to all of the other undergraduate colleges at BU from which you might major, so that you can see how you could start at CGS, continue into Questrom, College of Arts and Sciences, College of Communications, etc., and complete your major in 4 years. So here's the pathway: semester 1, gap semester, first semester of the freshman year, second semester of the freshman year, etc. What you might take at CGS and elsewhere to complete that major in 4 years. Same thing for biology. This is one of the pre-med majors. People interested in doing pre-med might take, but there are others as well. And yes, of course, you can do pre-med starting at CGS and complete it in 4 years, no problem. All right, our curriculum also is honing the skills that employers are looking for when they hire. So there have been a lot of surveys done of employers globally over the last 15, 20 years or so, asking, what are you looking for when you hire? And again, employers are saying that they're looking for broad-based skills like critical thinking skills, like I was talking about earlier, communication skills, collaboration skills. And these are the skills our curriculum is designed to hone. So that's really important to remember. Very few employers are looking for specialized knowledge in a discipline because most of them know that every job is very distinct, and a lot of the elements of a job are going to have to be learned on a job, which is why they need people who can teach themselves, work with others, learn quickly, draw from different disciplines in solving problems, etc. And of course, that's what our students have been educated to do. But I've been focusing a lot on how our curriculum, checks off requirements, which it does, and how it prepares you for the workforce, which it does. And those are really key things. Those are important to you, to us. Get that. But education is not just about checking off requirements, nor is it just about earning a living, as important as those things are. It's also about building a life. And we truly believe that our curriculum does help our students build a rich, purposeful life where they learn to enjoy many, many different things and to be good citizens in the process. And we hope we get to share part of that life with you. Thank you for your attention. I'm going to stop sharing screen now so that we can go to our panelists and have them introduce themselves. And it always just takes me a second to get my PowerPoint down. And then now I can see my panelists' faces. Yay. My favorite part is when I get my PowerPoint done and then I can see my beautiful panel. So what I'm going to do is just call out the names of our panelists and have them introduce themselves so that they know, so that you know what their role is, and we can have them then address your questions. And I'm going to start out with Dean Stacey Godnick.
Thanks, Natalie. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacey Godnick. I am the Associate Dean for Student Academic Life at the College of General Studies. I've been at the university over 3 decades, so I know a lot about it. And my primary role at the College of General Studies is overseeing academic advising. Academic advising is a critical piece of your education at Boston University. So we'll talk more about it over the course of the next few minutes. And I just wanted to congratulate you, and please ask as many questions as you want, and we'll provide you with some good answers.
Thank you, Stacey. And since Stacey was talking about advising, I would like to move next to Matt Bay, who is one of our advisors and an alum. Matt.
Hi, everybody. So as Dean McKnight just said, I'm an academic advisor at the College of General Studies. My name is Matt Bay. I'm also an alum of CGS. I completed my undergraduate degree through the College of Communication in 2012, and then my master's degree through the Wheelock College of Education and Human Development in 2017. I've been working here for almost 7 years now. So I've been here for a while, and looking forward to answering your questions as well. And originally I hail from Glenview, Illinois, just north of Chicago. So congratulations on your admission to BU, and we look forward to your questions.
Thanks, Matt. We also have with us today Professor Kevin Sturr. He's the chair of our Humanities Division. So Kevin.
Thank you, Natalie. I'm Kevin Sturr, and I'm chair of the Humanities Department. I've been a professor of humanities at CGS for 23 years. Before that, I taught in the core curriculum and did my doctoral work at BU. My work is mainly in philosophy, but I love being in an interdisciplinary program where I can go beyond just that one field and connect it with other disciplines. I hail from Southern Maine, Portland, Maine, if you know that. And also I was a faculty in residence for 15 years at Boston University, which means that I lived on campus, both in South Campus and West Campus, and I was very immersed in student life. So congratulations to everyone on your acceptances.
Thank you, Kevin. And we also have an admissions officer with us, Rachel Boyle. Thank you, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Rachel Boyle. I'm an associate director. I sit on the board of admissions for BU. So that means I was one of the people reading your applications. I am just here to offer my congratulations. And in case any questions pop up about admissions, but really you don't need me anymore because you've all been admitted. So ask a lot of questions, ask students questions too, because they can share some really valuable insights. But congratulations.
Thank you, Rachel. And we have a wonderful group of students with us today. I'm going to start with Noor Siddiqui. Noor, please.
Thank you, Dean McKnight. Good morning, everybody. I'm Noor Siddiqui. I'm currently a senior in Sargent College of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences, studying human physiology on a pre-health track. I was also in the College of General Studies Boston-London program, which I completed in May of 2019. I wanted to congratulate all of you on your acceptance, and I'm really looking forward to answering any questions you guys might have.
Thank you, Noor. And Kashtin Grepe.
Yeah, hello. My name is Kashtin. I am also a senior in the College of Arts and Sciences studying international relations, and I'm also simultaneously enrolled as a master's student, so a first-year master's candidate in international affairs in the Pardee School of Global Studies. I'm also a CGS alum. Congratulations on your acceptance.
Yeah, thanks, Kashtin. And then Ailey Cheng. Thanks, Ailey.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Dean McKnight. My name is Ailey. I'm a junior in the College of Communication, studying public relations, and I'm also minoring in political science in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I was part of the CGS Boston-London program. I went to London in the summer of 2019, and I finished CGS in May of 2020. So really excited to answer all your questions today.
Thanks, Ailey. And last but not least, certainly Megan Lau. Megan.
Thank you, Dean McKnight. Hi, everyone. Congratulations on your acceptance. My name is Megan Lau, and I'm currently a sophomore in the College of General Studies, planning on continuing into the Questrom School of Business, and I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm just going to jump right into these questions. First one I'm going to take, very simple. Will spring classes be in person or virtual? We are definitely planning in-person classes, not just for spring 2022, but also for fall 2021. So we're planning to be, as a university, back to normal or as close to normal as we can get by fall. So that is the plan. I'm, as always, during the COVID pandemic, I'm knocking on wood, barring any unforeseen other kind of outbreak, but everyone seems to be getting vaccinated. Everyone in Massachusetts is eligible to be vaccinated starting next week. So we are on a fast track for going back to everything in person. Next question, and I'm going to hand this to Noor. What are housing options for spring start when the majority of BU students are joining in the fall? Is there specific housing for CGS students? So I'm just going to say one line and then I'm going to hand it off to Noor. But our CGS students go through the same housing process that all students at BU do. It's exact same process. So Noor.
Yes, exactly. So just as Dean McKnight said, the process for you as a CGS student is going to be the same as any freshman coming into the university. But what's great about the CGS program is that you usually end up getting better housing than you would if you were starting in the fall. And this is because you obviously are starting in the spring. There are a lot more openings for housing in the junior or sophomore, junior, and senior housing that you probably wouldn't get in the fall. And so you could end up living in Niles Standish Hall, which has just been redone and is absolutely beautiful, or on Bay State Road, which is usually junior or senior housing. And so you actually get like the better end of the deal coming in the spring as a CGS student, but the process is the same in terms of how you apply for it. You'll get a housing application that gets sent to you around October or November, and you just put all of your preferences, and the housing department here is wonderful and make sure that they can give students exactly what they asked for.
Thank you, Noor. So good question here. With spring, summer, and fall semesters, are there breaks in between, and does this lead to burnout? So yes, it's a good question. So students are starting here in January to May here in Boston, and then they do a 6-week term in London. So those doing summer 1, which is about mid-May to the end of June, they don't have much of a break before they do their second semester, but then they have a nice break afterwards, right? That they would have July and August, right? but half of the students will do the summer 2 semester in London or here, possibly in New England. And so they would have the break at the earlier part of summer. So they would finish their program here probably by the end of the first week of May, and then they wouldn't start up until July for their second semester. So, and then still have a couple weeks at the end of their summer semester as well. So either way, that there are breaks. But let's just draw from some of the students and who have gone through this. Was there a burnout issue in terms of kind of collapsing that summer semester? And I'm going to turn this one over to Kashtan and then Ailey.
Sure. No, I don't think burnout necessarily. I think you've got the decent. Well, first of all, when you're in London, the time there is so exciting that it's a lot of work, and it's you kind of have to stay on that, but it doesn't really feel like a normal semester. It's very exciting, and there's all these new things happening, and you're having all these new experiences. So it doesn't really lend itself towards, I guess for me at least, I feel like burnout comes from monotony, and London is far from monotonous. But you also do have these breaks built in as well as spring break, and then you're only in London for summer, so you have the other half where you pleased with it or to travel around. So I don't think so. I think it was very much manageable. I did summer 2. And so I only had a couple weeks after London, and then into the fall of my sophomore year, which I was actually overloading the fall of my sophomore year. So I was taking more classes than is normally recommended. And it was difficult. It was a long stretch of doing work, but I didn't find that burnout was anything insurmountable.
And just having watched Kashtan in his second year, he always seemed energized, great student leader. So that was my observation. Ailey, how about you? How did you experience that?
I have to agree. I think you're starting in the spring, you're really excited, and then all of a sudden it's London, and that's also very exciting. So you're kind of just going through with the motions. And compared to this semester with COVID, I'd say those semesters were a lot better. And especially because you have a lot of students to also, enjoy, and you have new professors, and everything is just new and exciting. So not burnout, not compared to how it is now.
Right.
Yeah.
I hear that. I think we're all a little bit Zoom burned out, right? A little bit remote burned out.
Yeah, and when we go to museums and we do all these experiential trips, that definitely adds to your education and the experience, and that also so it's not like you're sitting in the classroom all the time. CGS actually takes you out. The amount of times that I went to the MFA or went around Boston or even went around London, you're gonna be busy, and it's not burning out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, a lot of variety there. So here's a good question. Are all classes in one CGS building? No, a good amount of the CGS courses are in our building, but really the registrar just kind of fits the professor and the professor's need to a classroom at BU. And so you could be in School of Hospitality, you could be at College of Arts and Sciences. And then of course our students are taking electives towards their major in the other colleges, and those classes also could be anywhere. They could be in the college, they could be someplace else. So our students are getting out and mixing with the campus as a whole. This is a great one. I'm just going to have all the students address this. How do students integrate socially? By starting in January. So Megan, let's start with you. So I'm losing my voice here. Megan, thanks.
Thank you, Dean McKnight. I think that it was a relatively smooth transition. I think when you come into college with 600 other students, there are a lot of opportunities to meet people, and everyone is really willing to just also meet people and make friends. So for me personally, there were a couple of school-wide events that I attended, like the Winter Weeks of Welcome events and Splash 2.0, which is a club fair where you can kind of just explore all the different student organizations. And then within CGS, I also attended a couple of experiential learning trips with my team. So I had the opportunity to listen to the Boston Symphony Orchestra perform, and that was just a great opportunity to meet other students in my team, but also my professors as well.
Great, thank you. And Ailey, how about you? Did you find it, how was it integrating into BU's campus when you started in January?
I have to agree with Megan. It is very, very seamless. Especially, I want to say that every semester is a fresh start. So if anyone is worried about not being, like being left behind because you weren't here in the fall, it's not like that at all. Honestly, every semester is a fresh start. Every semester, people want to make new friends. They're excited to meet new people. So coming in January wasn't like, it didn't hurt me in any way. And like Megan said, BU does run Weeks of Welcome and Splash. Like they do their best to also host events for students to get to know each other. And joining clubs, I think, is very key as well. And with BU, there's over 500, I believe, clubs. Like there's one that you're definitely going to find one that you like. So no need to worry there.
Good point. And if you can't find one in that list of 500 or 600 clubs, you always can create one, right? Which many of our students do. Yeah. And Kashtan, do you want to say a little bit about that? And then Noor?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm just gonna echo what my colleagues here said in that I also experienced a very seamless transition between the students in my CGS courses, students that I met in the other courses that I was taking, as well as clubs and organizations. It was really just also, I met one of my best friends to this day from orientation, who was not a CGS student. And he and I still see each other all the time. So I don't know, you meet people in strange ways. I met one of my other best friends because he happened to be rooming with someone who was a friend of mine from high school who happened to transfer to the university. People in strange ways. And I thought it was extremely, extremely seamless. And then also all of the clubs and organizations are going to be incredibly excited to have new students coming in to join their organization. So I thought it was extremely seamless as well.
And Noor, was that your experience too?
Yeah, definitely. I want to echo what everybody else said, but I really want to focus on the team environment that CGS creates and the community that you have within the College of General Studies, because since you are spending so much time with all of your peers, you form such genuine connections and you really get to know one another because of all that time that you spend. And I've never met a student here at BU, and especially in CGS, who isn't so willing to get to know anybody that they're around. And I think everybody, especially coming in their first semester of college, is so willing and open to form those connections. So as long as you're willing to do that, I think everybody will meet you where you are.
Thank you. I just want to add that one thing I often hear from our students is that their friends who are in other colleges are always asking them, how do you know so many people? Because they'll walk down Commonwealth Avenue with their friends from another college and they're saying hi to this person and hi to that person, and friend from another college says, you know so many people. And it's part, again, because of the team system, as we've all been saying, because they know so many people on their own team at CGS, but then of course they're also taking courses towards the major, so they know people there, which means, and they are taking over leadership positions, I think at a disproportionate rate at the university. So they have all the people they know from their clubs and activities too. So they seem to be finding and creating their own communities really quickly. And very proud of that. We've often had students who are in our student government who then go on to become the president of BU-wide student government, including the current president of BU student government and the next president of BU student government. So we've got a good track record there. So I'm going to, as students prospective students are always asking about the gap semester. So I'm just going to have people go around and talk a little bit about what they did in the gap semester. So starting with Noor and then Kashtan and Ailey, then Megan. Thank you.
Thanks, Dean McKnight. So I worked full-time during my gap semester, which was great. It was so nice to have that break from doing classes every single day to having a different form of responsibility, which is something that I really enjoyed. And then also having so much more free time. I knew that I was interested in pre-health, either pre-med or pre-dental. And so I took a lot of my gap semester to go and shadow and volunteer in different offices. And so this gave me a greater idea of specialties that I might be interested in, and also where exactly in the healthcare field I wanted to pursue a career in. So the gap semester was such a fantastic break and made me so much more ready and excited to come to school in the spring, and I think made me a lot more focused in the spring as well, which was great.
Kashtan, yes.
Yeah, I also worked full-time during my gap semester. And similarly, I thought that it was a very good experience to have this sort of time, which is which I guess I was a little bit more autonomous in what I wanted to pursue with my time, because you work and then you get out of work and you don't have any homework, so that leaves kind of a lot of space to explore the things that I thought were interesting. I spent a lot of time hiking. I learned that I love to rock climb. I did a lot of music. I thought it was, I just want to echo that it was a really, really good time to kind of have this shift in structure, which I thought was very important, and also definitely helped me stay kind of focused and I guess in the zone when I got to campus. I think it was very important to me to realize that I wanted to really kind of dive headfirst into this university thing when I got there. So
Great. And Ailey, tell us about your experience, please.
Yeah, during my gap semester, I actually worked 2 jobs as well. I had to save up money for the Boston and the London semester. And as Dean McKnight said, it was a really great opportunity for me to add more experience to my resume, because during high school, I didn't really have time, like between all those classes, to, get work experience. So it was great to finally have more on my resume. And I also did things that I didn't have time to do. So for example, I finally got my driver's license. I took first ed. Now I have it. So yeah, it was really great. And the gap semester is a really unique opportunity that a lot of people, don't have built in. So I'm really grateful for it. And like Nora and Karsten said, it really motivated me for the spring semester when I did come to Boston. So it was a great experience overall.
Great, thank you. And Megan.
Yeah, I think the gap semester was a nice time to kind of pause and reflect, which I didn't really have the time to do in high school, and to also kind of explore my passions as well. So at the time, I was interested in pursuing a political science major, so I decided to intern with my local congresswoman, and I also volunteered at my local city's like New Year's Day parade, so it was a really nice way for me to stay connected to my community. And then just, I guess, exploring passions for myself, I just tried to fine-tune my musical abilities and cooking and baking skills as well.
Great, thank you guys. So this is a good question for advisors, and so I'm going to turn this to Matt Bay. Are you considered a transfer student if you take certain courses during your fall gap semester prior to starting in spring?
Great question. You would not be a transfer student, and this is a really important distinction here. So if you work with your advisor to figure out a class or two to take during the gap semester, it's really important that you sign up for that course as a non-matriculated, non-degree student. You can't enroll full-time at another university during the gap semester. So by that token, you wouldn't be entering as a transfer student. You would be taking the course there as a non-degree and then transferring that to BU for credit afterwards.
Great, thank you. So the credits transfer, but you are not a transfer student.
Yeah.
All right, great. Are you able to change your major, and what would the time frame be so not to take additional courses? Another great question. I'm going to hand that one to Dean Godnick.
That is a great question. Thanks, Natalie. So the really cool thing about the College of General Studies is of the 600 or so students in your class year, some students know what they want to major in, some students don't know what they want to major in, some students know what they want to major in and change their mind. And you have that ability to do all of that. Through the CGS courses, you're exploring subjects, and through your electives, you're also exploring subjects. So you can either get started on your major by taking those electives or explore by taking those electives. Either way, you have time to change your mind. And typically at universities, you declare your major officially in the spring semester of the sophomore year. So most students, through the advising process and the course taking process and the things you're involved in outside of the classroom, you pretty much know what you want to major in. So the critical piece here is working closely with your academic advisor. I'm just going to continue, if I can have the floor for another 30 seconds, to put the plug in about that, because what happens is you begin in January. The relationship with your academic advisor at the College of General Studies actually starts in June. So we'll be assigning you to an advisor. Your advisor will be reaching out to you via email, your BU email, and it begins in June. It begins talking about what are your summer plans, what are your goals, who are you as a person, what are your dreams and visions. And we begin to get to know you and you know us, and we start talking about summer plans, gap semester plans, and academic, career, and personal goals. So it begins early, and all of that ends up culminating in a point where you pretty much know what you want to major in by the spring of the sophomore year.
Great, thanks, Dean Godnick. And I just want to do a shout out to our advising staff because they really are phenomenal. And I'm very proud at our college that we have full-time professional advisors with master's degrees or higher in counseling, psychology, et cetera, related fields like that. And so they are working full-time with our students and only our students to direct them in terms of these questions that Dean Godnick was just laying out. What are your interests? What are your passions? What do you think you might do this summer, in the fall? And then, of course selection, discerning majors, minors, et cetera. So this is not typical at a major research one university to have full-time advising staff like this. As you may know, it's often typical to hand over advising to faculty, and some faculty are really good at it, and a lot of faculty are not really good at it because it's not their top priority, right? A faculty member's top priority is teaching and then research or research and then teaching, but in either case advising would then come third, and that is not a good scenario for good advising. So we do not do that. We have this full-time advising staff who are fantastic and start forming the relationship with our students right after they put the paid deposit down.
And to just add to that, Natalie, real quickly, what it is we also very much connect you with advisors in the other schools and colleges. So you're not at the College of General Studies. You're with us for 2 years, and we have this 2-year relationship that we build. And then we certainly see you after, junior, senior year, because we've built these connections. And we are connecting you with the future school or department, or the school or department in which you're curious about. So we are in this unique position at the university. We've got spokes into all the other schools and colleges, and that's how we're able to build these pathways that makes it very clear from first to last year what your pathway is through a major. So we have this very unique position at the university where we know a lot about all the different majors and schools and colleges, and we connect you with folks in those departments and schools and colleges before you even get there.
Yeah, thanks, Stacey. That's a really key point. The advising and the connection between our advisors and then connecting students to advisors in the other colleges of the major. That is a key element of this smooth transition that we bring about for all of our students. So a lot of students are interested in Capstone. I mentioned Capstone briefly in my presentation, and I think this would be a great time to talk a little bit more about it. And I'm going to turn this one over to Professor Kevin Sturr, because he's in the midst of shepherding students through Capstone right now. And I'm also going to have Megan Lau say something because she is in the midst of Capstone from the student experience. So Kevin, please.
Thanks, Natalie. Yeah, we've really just entered into the second week of meeting with students as groups. And that's the experience, I think, that, really shows you the interdisciplinary nature of our program at its best, where there aren't these neat dividing lines between fields of learning, and any problem or dilemma or issue that you have to confront in life or contend with, it could be going to the voting booth or maintaining a friendship or a relationship or solving a business or a problem in medicine or journalism. You always have to look at it through more than one lens. It could be political, economic, social, psychological, cultural, scientific and technological. And the Capstone really forces you to look at a problem through at least several lenses, usually ones that are built on what you've studied in the program before. So as many of you know, panelists who have been through the process, it's not just a research project. It's not just small groups researching and then telling us what they researched. It really synthesizes what they've learned in terms of producing a policy recommendation that addresses a real world problem, something that's pressing in the contemporary world. Also, it's a great project in terms of just the atmosphere and the format. You meet with 3 professors, your group meets with 3 professors, one from humanities, one from social science, and one from natural science. So we're there to provide our resources to you as both specialists and generalists. At CGS, while you're in the middle of a huge research university, it's a big, it's a little happy community, and we all get along extremely well. And you see that especially when you work with the different professors. We love meeting with students, not in a typical classroom, but in a nice little conference room or rooms that kind of look like living rooms, where more informal, relaxed atmosphere. and we get to know our students very well through that process. We deal with issues. Currently, my students are dealing with issues from surveillance capitalism, how Facebook collects data. We're dealing with climate change issues, the federal government's responsibility for anything related to climate change destruction. Some students are looking at the pandemic and issues like racial bias in medicine and how to distribute vaccines and make them more accessible. Those are just a few of the many topics that we address. So we really get to know our students well. And I'll just add that on top of having the joy of working more closely with both students and my colleagues, we also find that the capstone is the most memorable experience, usually in the entire Boston University career of students. They may not remember particular things from courses, or usually they remember, passionate professors. We have quite a few of those at CGS, but they really remember their capstone group and working on the project. Sometimes even 20 or 30 years out from the project, they'll remember their group. They became friends with many of them, and they even remember what their, their project was about. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. And it's so true. I travel all over the world meeting with our alumni who are leaders in pretty much every profession you can imagine. And again, they bring up their capstone project. Sometimes they literally bring out the dog-eared copy, physical copy of the capstone project they turned in decades ago, which is actually kind of cute, charming. Megan, you're in the midst of this project right now. How's it going and what are you doing?
Yeah, it's going well. So my group, we're addressing like a state issue, and where our topic is the validity of forensic science in law enforcement and its usage in the court. So we're currently in the editing phase of our paper with about like 1 week to go. But I've really enjoyed combining the humanities, social science, and natural science disciplines together as we put together the project.
Great. And I'm just going to put you all on the spot and see if you do actually remember your capstone projects. Nor, what did you do?
I loved Capstone. So I focused on the nuclear missile crisis in North Korea at the time, or well, it's still going on, but yeah, that's what I focused on. And I just wanted to also add that Capstone is something that I bring up in every single interview I have, whether it's for a job or an internship or really any opportunity, because it really hones in on what every employer might want a student to be able to do, which is like solve a problem, work with others that they might like, that they're not friends with or something, like random groups. And so it's been such a fantastic experience that I can pull into every aspect of my life, which I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to do a capstone project, because it's not offered in every school or college here at Boston University. So I think it's such a special aspect of the College of General Studies. And it's something that if I could do it again, I would.
A great point, Nora. It is so important to bring this up in interviews because, it's a jaw-dropping moment when interviewers hear that you did this project, this huge problem-solving project in your sophomore year, because it encapsulates everything they're looking for, right? Problem-solving, collaboration, research, being able to teach yourself something. It's awesome. Kashtan, what was your project?
Yeah, similarly, I absolutely loved Capstone. My group looked at the opiate epidemic and possible policies in order to alleviate it. We looked at funding and various policies and various programs that have been instituted by other nations and how those were effective. And I thought it was so incredibly rewarding. Not only was it rewarding in that it was like a unique and kind of stimulating experience, but also that I study international relations. I study policy, and going through this process of going in to this, not really knowing anything about the opiate epidemic or drug policy as a whole, and then looking at all of these different policy options and proposing what we thought the best solution was. I am now firmly behind the propositions which we made, which was a really, really cool and rewarding experience, which, I mean, even studying policy doesn't happen that often. So often there are you don't have the time to really dive into a specific problem to get an understanding of it, which is complex enough that makes you feel really, really confident about the solutions which you have identified. So yeah, I thought it was one of the most rewarding academic experiences I've ever had.
Great. And Ailey, what was your project?
My capstone project was about the direct-to-consumer prescription drug advertising. So if you're all familiar on TV, when they'll start playing and advertising about a new drug that comes out, and they'll show like a really happy family, and then on all the little tiny little words, it shows all these side effects that, you know, people don't really see. But it was
Like
really
that.
it was very, very cool to read more about it and to learn, and especially like what role the FDA and the government plays in regulation. And then as a group proposing like a solution. It was a very memorable experience. We did it right at the start of the pandemic, so we had to work with each other on Zoom. We had time differences going on. Like one of my team members was in Taiwan and everyone else was, you know, in the East Coast. So it was very challenging, but I definitely learned a lot. It was a very big learning experience. And I also like to talk about it all the time and bring it up because I'm proud of the work. I know, like we wrote 50 pages. And especially having that experience early on, because I think most students do a capstone like in their later years, but having it like early on in college, like that's really cool.
That's a really good point. Yep. And we've had in the pandemic, we've had capstone groups where they were in 5 different time zones. So that's a challenge. Matt Bay, I'm going to put you on the spot since you're an alum. So it's been a little bit longer since you did your capstone. Do you still remember what you did?
I do, yes. It was, we worked on a binding bilateral agreement with China to move forward with green energy in both countries and sort of find common ground in that sector. So yeah, it was neat, you know, to be able to pick like a certain area within that as well. So each of us sort of specialized in, because it's a broad topic, and I realize as I'm saying this, it's like, well, where do you even go with that? And that was one of the things too with working with the professors. You know, we came all in super confident, like, oh, we've got this great idea, and they're like, great, but you need to go deeper. And that is one of those things that I think makes Capstone so impactful at that point is, you know, as I'm advising students who are going into it or who are in the middle of it right now, hi Megan, is, you know, it's very much, we want to encourage them to be having these conversations with the professors. You know, I had a meeting with a student a couple days ago who, you know, was sort of going through it because they had felt, again, sort of as I did, really confident about their topic, and they're being asked to just go a little bit deeper or go into a different area and be more specific. So it's not as though you're going to go into it completely without, you know, any guidance or any, I don't know, any assistance to try to get the paper to be at a point where you want it to be, because we don't expect everyone to know how to write that kind of research paper right away. Sometimes you need a little bit of further guidance. So yeah, it was a great experience. And certainly it's something that I actually do see the skills that I learned working with a team still that I use today in my professional career, which is amazing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And all such great topics, really, really impressive. And you're so right too about the timing. I think it's so important at the end of the second year to start applying what one's learning to the real world. And instead of just waiting at the end of the senior year, which again is maybe more typical, because then you do it, but then you're out and then done, right? So doing it in your end of your second year, you're starting to learn how to apply what you're learning and pull it all together, and then you take those skills with you into the last 2 years. Well, we're running out of time here. Panelists, you've been awesome. Thank you so much. I want to encourage everyone who's listening to check out some of the other resources on our admitted student page, including you could sign up for some of our Dean's Host chats where you could just talk to some of our students who, as you can tell, are amazing. And you get some of us grups off of the Zoom page and just focus in on the students. So we've got one of those on April 22nd and another one on April 27th, both of those at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So consider doing that. There are so many other resources on our admitted student page, including we have one more of these, and all of the other open houses we've done are recorded, and there are videos, and there are campus tours, all kinds of things. So check out our resources. Good luck to you as you make your decision. We sure hope you choose to be with us, and thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye. And thanks again, panel. Great job.